Hi, welcome everyone. We're on episode 3 of Nobra's Asking the Right Questions. On today's episode, I have with me Bambi and our new founding partner, Pallavi, who's a dear friend and a fantastic communicator. She's joined us as a founding partner. Chief People Officer, Head of Strategic Investor and Partner Relations. We're very excited to have her with us. We're going to have many conversations like the one today as we build a dream together. Uh, Pallavi, I'd request you to introduce yourself to our audience and share your vision for No Brain with everyone before we jump into today's conversation.
Thank you, Pritika. It's so nice of you to introduce me here. Um, my romance with No Gray actually started when Pritika threw it out there that she was, working on wills and trusts, and all of us have had our little brush with, either mortality or seeing things happen when you need to change your lives. And I decided that it just started organically with a conversation, right?
Yeah.
Um, to give you a little history about myself, I actually teach students analytical and critical thinking. And analytical and critical thinking is basically about getting to the crux of an issue, to the simplest possible, I'd like to say denominator, perhaps. I mean, for want of a better term, it is to simplify everything that there is. Life is always in concentric circles. We always have one value on something, we have 25 feelings about something else. But what is it that we want? That one basic understanding. So when you're writing an essay, you're answering a question, you want to communicate something, what is it that you want to say? Currently, we're all operating from, oh, this is what I want the other person to think. But that is not possible. We can't possibly govern what someone else thinks. We cannot. What we can govern is how we communicate. And we have to communicate as clearly enough for the other person to understand what it is that we're saying, which means questions need to be asked. We need to be ready to answer them 50 times with no ego. So basically, analytical and critical thinking is your supplication pose in yoga. You've just got to put your head down and ask for what you want. And the journey has been wonderful. I've been doing it for 14 years. A lot of it involves conflict resolution as well, because students, parents, they're always stuck in this situation of flux. What should I do? What do I want? What should I want? You know, my child has to get an A star, but do I really want them to get an A star? And the student is thinking, but I want to run. Do I really want to? Do I really want to be someone who's running and getting A stars, but I don't care about the A star? But do I pretend I'm caring about the A star? There are all these conflicting things. When someone also asks you, why did the man choose the jacket he wore? There are variables that we have to break down into facts. He wore it because it was his favorite jacket and he was feeling unsure about today. He put it on and he felt better. It mayn't have been so cold outside, but he put it on because it was like his suit of armor. There's compassion in analytical and critical thinking, and that's where that's basically my journey.
Thanks, Pallavi. And it is precisely this aspect of your journey that made me see and feel that you would be such a great fit to fulfill the role of Chief People Officer and lead the communications for No Grade, also for the billet product and the products to come because I find that it's really I find that there aren't too many people in the world were able to communicate the way that you do by simplifying things. I find that, and I felt very strongly that she would be the right partner to have, the right chief people officer for Nobre. Because in my journey so far as a professional, I have found that a lot of the people who are playing these roles are not really playing these roles, they're not really leading these roles. And I found through my conversations with Pallavi that there were a lot of things that I wanted to learn from her, and I would ideally want as a member of this company. Sure, we're all founders here, but ultimately we are members of this company. I would want to share the experience of knowing and learning from Pallavi with everyone who comes on board to build this company, to be in each other's company, and even for our clients, present and future. I would ideally like them to benefit from Pallavi holding space for them as they make important decisions in the documents that they are drafting to secure their families. So I saw a lot of positives in having the Pallavi's companionship in building our company called Noble. Because often when we are starting businesses or building businesses, I think the society in general is so dead right now that they don't understand what a business and a company really means. Um, it's so like superficial, the thinking, the thought process, largely, that they forget that the word company really comes from the meaning that it has, the company of each other,
Being together, yes.
being together, where we all give each other company to build something that is going to, of course, secure all of us, but also actually benefit the world at large, or a certain segment of the world at large. And until that flow doesn't happen in a company, it is not going to succeed as a business. And I also believe that communication is such a core part of any business, that without proper communication, a company would only be like a fly-by-night operator. It's not really going to stay in the game for long enough. It is not going to become an institution. And when we started working on Nobre, we were very clear that we don't want to build a company based on false projections and valuation. Sure, valuation is a part of it, and we will keep building it, but that's not the prime motive. It is to actually build some very meaningful products for the people of our country, using the skills that we have as lawyers and thought leaders, help each other, and also help the people that we come in touch with. So with these ideas in mind, as I communicated with Pallavi, I increasingly felt that we're going to enjoy working together. There's going to be joy in it, and we will learn from her, and people that we service will benefit from her capabilities as a communicator, as a critical and analytical thinker. I've been working as a lawyer for over 17 years now, and I find that a majority of the young lawyers that come out also don't have that ability, and it takes them almost like 5 to 10 years to build that ability if they're lucky to find the right leadership. And I also see that actually Pallavi will also play that role in training the resources that we build to build Nobre. So this is what brings Pallavi with us, and of course she is going to handle conversations with investors and partners. She's going to use her discernment, which she has developed over the years. She's going to use it to make sure that we don't waste our time with people that don't resonate with us. And so very happy to have you with us, Pallavi. And today while we're here together, me, you, and Bambi, there is, the idea of, doing these no grade podcasts is really, like I shared with you earlier.
Yeah.
It's a space where we are vulnerable, where we are very authentic, and through this we hope to create more authenticity in the world around us. And this is also a space where we share and record our really deep experiences while building No Grade, this company that we're building together. We also hope that that through these conversations, other people who are building similar businesses which are truly sustainable and impact oriented will benefit from the sharing of our challenges and our victories, because there are plenty. The one so I, Looking back at the last 6 months. What's been exciting is that we have the support of Pallavi. She's there watching for us and for the company. She knows how to ask the right questions, and I absolutely love it. Also, what's been interesting is, and we have two more partners joining us soon. We will make that announcement soon in another episode with them as well. They are two very senior business leaders in the company, in the banking and financial space, and they will be joining us formally to help us build the company. We What else it is that I want to share from the last 6 months? I think the central theme for the last 6 months for me personally, and I'd also like to know from Pallavi and Barry post this, the one central theme for me has been that I have become a lot more aware in my personal and my professional space. I am asking a lot more questions than I was before. What I have also noticed is, and what has really got me to this point is, um, so I've generally been someone who's been very trusting. Like trusting people is my default mechanism. Uh, a weakness that I have is that I don't like being part of conflicts outside courts, because I don't want to give my energy to conflicts. And sometimes, asking these questions when I'm not in a courtroom or when I'm not negotiating a transaction documents, I know can lead me into conflict, which will then take a lot of my energy. So I tend to avoid it. But what I learned through the last 6 months is that if I avoid it, it is going to eventually make me end up losing a lot more energy. What also got me to this point of asking these questions from people is um, that I realized that the levels of reliability, in the world around us today, clearly in the world around me, I can say that for sure, is so low. There is just so much of a trust deficit in the world around us. And it is my belief, or this is what I have learned and observed through the awareness that I've been working on, is that actually this whole economic downturn, the war happening, this whole climate issue that everyone's talking about and feeling, um, the bottom line of it all, Pallavi, and this is me like simplifying my experience of this world and life in general. The bottom line of it is that the reliability in human relationships is at a real low. And we may have been here before, but actually we've been stuck in this space for like really, really long now as human beings. Like we are not able to rise above our own needs at all. And almost every transaction that I see has become like an empty transaction. So, we were talking about how like every transaction is linear. But the thing is that for the world to be sustainable, I believe transactions have to flow in a triangle. For it to be recyclable, for it to be sustainable, it can also be a circle, but I like a triangle, it's cooler. So, like I feel that there's no flow in the transactions. It's just like one person seeing how he can give money to another person who he is fond of. Nobody else should get any money. There's really no need for any quality of service or anything. Everything's being packaged to look good, but we don't know what's inside it. So these are my thoughts, and what I'd like to know from both of you, and Pallavi, starting with you, uh, what are your thoughts around why we are experiencing the economic downturn in the world, where people have lost their jobs, where businesses are going under? Why are we facing these climate issues? Why are we seeing so many of these small wars happening everywhere? It's almost like Third World War. We'll probably read about it in history books, after like 50 years. We're in it right now, is how I see it. Um, a large part of it is being fought in fields where like people are using arms and ammunition. A lot of it is economic warfare,
Yes.
also. And I'd like to know from you, what do you see is underneath it all?
Okay. Some of the questions you have asked are like way over my pay grade, but um, everything has an energy to it. Everything has, like you mentioned correctly right now, that it is cyclical. The fact that so many of us are having these conversations about returning a soul to something that we are doing means that we are on the way up. Otherwise there would be no realization. We'd be, in the dark ages. There would be no changing. There would be no people who would be talking about resolution. There'd be no people talking about the greater good. um, there are too many of us actually on this planet, and we haven't seen the enormity of it, because what we do is that we measure importance in certain stratas. We measure importance by the size of the diamonds that someone is wearing. We measure the importance of where someone has, a bigger car, or someone's business has done well, or someone speaks better. But the measurement is actually here. It is here. And that's all it is. Money has, everything around us has an energy. Money has a very dense energy. If you hold money in your hand for a very long time, you will feel drained. Not to say that we shouldn't have it. Everybody should strive to make money. But the economic downturn is because money has also not been given the value that it is due. Money is a tool for barter, an exchange of services, an exchange of objects, and it is there to give a value to something. It doesn't give a value to human beings. And that's where the disconnection is. That a person who's wealthier automatically feels they are better than someone else. And that is our biggest problem. That's the economic downturn. We've also raised the levels of anxiety for everything. We've got Blinkit, we've got Zomato, we've got Uber. They're wonderful companies. The vision that they began with was fantastic, but what have we actually done? We have raised the level of anxiety for everybody, for the driver who has to get to you in under 2 minutes, for the person who has to make a delivery to you. What is the requirement for you to get a Fab India kurta in under 10 minutes? Unless you've spilled something on yourself. Like, I mean, we're setting ourselves up to fail. We're all standing at the edge of a cliff, but nobody knows how to fly. And the reason why so many of us are asking these questions is because we are saying, get off the cliff. We don't need to be standing at the edge of everything. We also need to find contentment in what there is. And there may not be contentment. There may not be contentment on the matter of religion, on the matter of togetherness, on the matter of food. But how do we collate everything? And this is what an economic downturn is. An economic downturn is the fact that somewhere people have not been trained, and there is tons of grain that is rotting in godowns. And on the other hand, there are people who are going hungry. The economic downturn will change will become an upswing when we learn how to manage things better. And by learning how to manage things better is we need to recognize them for what they are. I am no better than the man on the cycle riding to work, earning his daily dahari to come home and feed his children. His children are not less important or more important than my children. But what do? We have to give them the best. And what we have done as adults is that we've forgotten how to wonder about things. Everything has a scientific explanation. A rainbow has a scientific explanation. The reason why there's rain, there's precipitation, there's thunder, there's lightning. As children, do you remember standing over there and thinking how exciting it's going to be if we get wet in the rain? And when someone actually does get wet in the rain, we look at them and we're just like, oh my God, how stupid they are. But we've forgotten the wonder in things because everything has become so so measured with what we can get instantly. How about waiting a little bit? You love that person a little bit more when you waited 5 days for a letter to get to you. Now you send a text message and you're just like, what an idiot, they haven't responded to me. They've seen it. But that level of anxiety is so high all the time that we want that reaction immediately. And this is what the economic downturn is. You're manufacturing cars, immediately you want buyers. You've given an order for the car, you want it there tomorrow. Why? Because I have a Diwali party to go to. If I go in a new car, everybody will suddenly think I'm like the cat's whiskers. You could be a jerk sitting in that car also. You know? So what is it that you represent?
Usually are.
Yeah, well, we're all waiting for Prince Charming to get out of the limousine. But the point is that we need to see what it is that we want. We want to earn money, but you can't earn money by being in a silo. With a product comes a brand value or a philosophy. With a brand value or philosophy comes a promise. It is not just a right, it is also a responsibility. When I am baking bread and I am selling it to you, it is my job also to see the many different kinds of demographics for whom I can sell that bread, to whom I can sell that bread. So I make a wholemeal bread, I make a spinach bread, I make a maida bread, I make so many things, but I have to make sure that I'm not mixing sand in any of it, which is what is happening right now. Companies become big. They become the next big thing because, oh my goodness, everybody's suddenly talking about this company. And then one person realizes that, oh, you know what? They're not delivering on their promise. And then everybody runs away. That's what it is. The consistency that we have. And we're never going to be raised up if we're all crabs in a bucket. The crabs never get out of the bucket because they're always pulling each other down. But what do the ants do? They go in a line, they hold each other, everybody follows the other person's tail and they get out. That's what you do. You don't keep worrying about how to pull people out of a river. You go upstream and think about, Desmond Tutu said this. You go upstream and find out why people are falling in the first place.
Who's Desmond Tutu? I
Don't-
don't.
What do you mean?
I don't know who Desmond Tutu is.
I didn't hear that. Yeah.
Did I hear that correctly?
He's a South African bishop.
Oh. Well, I'm learning how to ask questions.
Desmond Tutu worked very hard for the anti-apartheid movement, and that's what makes it wonderful that people like this exist. They have timestamps in history. They are our, we leave a carbon footprint. These people are our emotional footprint.
So beautifully put. And
Because it's all about, like you said, it's all about creating companies. And a company means that you are creating togetherness.
reliability.
Reliability. You are saying, I'm promising you this, and you deliver on that promise.
Yeah.
The level of anxiety becomes higher for you and for the other person when you yourself don't deliver on the promise. You think, how can I cut a corner?
Yeah.
You may be sleeping really well at night, but it's going to manifest itself in other ways. It's going to manifest itself in people around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to take care of everybody around you. And by this, I don't mean that, you have to give to charity all the time. You have to, what is charity? Charity is not just about money. Charity is about time. Can you spend that 5 minutes to talk to the person who requires your attention? That is all. It is not very difficult to do. When you have a conversation with someone, you are telling them you are my priority. It goes a very long way. Companies that have ridiculous after sales service, they have basically told you, you bought my product, you mean nothing to me anymore.
Yeah.
That's the emptiness that there is in that relationship.
Yeah.
Because
Also,
people have come to me and said, please don't buy your BMW from so and so showroom
yeah.
because their after sales service sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, it's not just about the reliability between the company and its customers. I feel the reliability levels are really down because also if you only look at the company structure, there is no reliability inter se between the people working in the company. You
Now
know,
that's a very interesting thing that you have pointed out. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
oh, not at all. I wanted you to go there. That's why I brought it up.
So it is because we are trying to position ourselves as something we are not. When we are working, there's a lot of introspection that goes in. It's why the best teachers remain lifelong learners. You are learning every single day. And by teacher, I don't mean someone who is, whose job profile fits that, who goes to a school. We are all teachers. Everything that you do in life impacts someone else. When you tell your maid कि अच्छा अपना पल्ला थोड़ा ऊपर करना बांध लेना जब झाड़ू कर रही हो तो ताकि आपको लगे ना आपकी साड़ी गंदी ना हो. It's a teaching. She is going to pay it forward to somebody else. But what happens if you are nasty to her? She will pay that forward also.
Happens, yeah.
So, but you do that, you only give someone knowledge and a teaching about things that better them when you yourself are secure. If I'm insecure, I'm going to keep feeling, let me not tell that person what my secret to success was.
Yeah.
And that's what happens in companies, in large places where the hierarchy is not clear. When a hierarchy is not clear and the ability to move forward is not clear, that's when you start having conflict. Bless you. When the person is saying that I have done so much, do you think I can apply for a better job? Like from someone who brings your chai, do you think I can now apply to office boy? That has to be clear because people are constantly teaching themselves. They are also constantly going through this um, flux of knowing who they are or learning who they are. It's called Johari's window. When you take feedback, but Johari's window is also in a silo because you're expecting the other person to be um, truthful enough to give you the correct feedback. So everywhere we're going, there's a matter of self-respect, there's a matter of trust, there's a matter of introspection. And when we don't bring that forward, when we don't allow people to be themselves, that's when the conflict arises. If the office boy wants to sing while he's making his chai, give him a place where the door can be shut. It's not that hard. Let him be happy. Otherwise, he's going to be spitting in your tea.
Yeah.
And you can't blame him because look at where your behavior came from. So these are all the things that actually contribute to a downward slide. And when we're looking to buy something, we also have to look to see whether we can do it. I want to buy a BMW right now, today. Fine, I buy it. But if I have no money to fill gas, then it's just lying over there and it becomes a white elephant. And this is what so many of us do. We get what we want rather than seeing whether we can actually have the responsibility of taking care of it.
Yes.
Or whether right now I can do it or not. That introspection has to come. Right now it is, but why shouldn't I do it? I'm getting the EMI. It's becoming easy for me. I can lease out the car also. There are so many options. Then I start becoming what I'm actually not. Because at some point, I may not be able to continue paying the lease. Then the car will go. Then that person who I was in the car, I'm no longer that person. And I start getting angry with anybody else for having that car. But if you're secure and you say, I'm not going to buy that right now, you know, I'm better off like this. Because what do I want? I want a car with space. I have a car with space. I want a car with a big boot. I have a car with a big boot. I want a car that looks very nice. I have a car that looks very nice. Does it have to be the BMW? That's the introspection that we need. The understanding of who we are and what we want and whether we are getting it.
Hmm. Yeah, an understanding of ourselves and the people around us. And what I'm gathering from you, what you're seeing in your world is, of course, this excessive consumerism and also like with these new models, the kind of like these new business models, the kind of anxiety they're creating in the way that we human beings have been used to living our lives. That's resulting in the anxiety that we are all experiencing, which is also resulting in, a trust deficit because nobody's really that happy because of the kind of anxiety that they're experiencing. Also, like the reliability levels are very low because of the way that um, business is being conducted, where actually the money is not being valued for the services that is being given, which was the actual, reason why money was created. It is actually a tool for barter, but is being used to value human beings.
Yes.
So actually now companies, I mean, I'm also seeing this in the startup space where companies are being valued before they have even begun to give services because uh, X and Y founder has just graduated from IIT. So basically, the money is being used to just yesterday someone sent me like a message on how this new Karan Johar company has been valued at 1,000 crores and has received 1,000 crores even before the services are being delivered. So yeah, it's a strange place. But now I think I'd also like to. I know we have to wind up quickly. We just have time till 12:15. I want that Pallavi should be with us in the call while Bambi shares our thoughts. Pallavi, you can drop out at 12:15, and I and Bambi can carry on with the conversation and conclude it even after you're gone. I'd like to keep an informal approach to this podcast and keep it easy flowing and not have everyone be together like throughout. And I know you have a meeting at 12:15. So moving over to you, Bambi, what have you seen? What have you understood and simplified out of your experience of what we can simplify and call as an economic downturn or like the climate issues? What's underneath it all for you? What's causing anxiety in your world?
Yeah, so I think Pallavi really beautifully touched on a lot of points that were on my mind as well. I think she went quite deep to really understand like the human psychology of it all, what the general anxiety that we're all feeling, on a certain level. And then on top of that, of course, there are like the complexities and nuances of each of our personal and professional lives. And I think it was beautiful what you said, Pallavi. And I remember you were using the words priority, and you used a couple of more words, attention, to describe how, we can be better, how we can, be better to each other. And what it made me think of is that if you go deeper than that, perhaps I think the emotion that we're all really looking for and that we're not experiencing as much is happiness, like joy, hope, and care.
Hmm.
I think when you want to prioritize something or you want to be better for yourself or for the people around you, I think the basic emotion to really feel is care. But you have to care, about the outcome of a certain, like, equation or exchange, whatever it is. Like, there has to be a good intention and there has to be some care, and you really have to be conscious and mindful of these things, which I feel a lot of people aren't today. And you can't blame them because I think we're all operating on a level we're not meant to be operating from with technology. And I was explaining this to Pritika as well. I was like, when we look at the younger generations, when we look at the people in their teens, the kids in their teens, and young adults in their early 20s, because of technology, because they've always had a smartphone or an iPad, flash in front of their eyes. Of course, they've been like the quickest to adopt technology. But there's so much anxiety. Like, you want something, you just go on the internet and you ask for it. Kids are so lonely nowadays. They don't have any real friends because they haven't gone out of their homes and played as much in the physical space and made those kind of core memories with other kids, that they haven't experienced that. So for them, like, some of them are so lonely that they talk to Chat GPT, for instance. They are Chat GPT emotional questions about their lives that, they're at that stage where they're not able to process it or comprehend it. Then you're not always comfortable to go up to family members or your parents, so you look to your friends. But then, these kids haven't been able to form those kind of relationships. They're looking at each other's social media. They, oh, yesterday I met her. She was behaving like this. She was saying this, but look at her today. She's here. She's doing this. There's so much judgment. There's so many. There's so much projection. There is, of course, this inherent competition that you were touching upon, Pallavi, because wherever you go, you're being sold something. Either you're being sold a product or a service or just an idea, like a perception of, like, who can Bambi be? Like, what is the best version of Bambi in this world? Like, what does she aspire to be? And that is, of course, bound to bring on a lot of anxiety and unrealistic expectations. Like, even on Instagram, why do you have filters? Because they wanna make you look your best, so that you look like a supermodel on a magazine every day. And you open your Instagram and you look at that and you feel, hey, that is me, or that could be me very
Yeah.
easily. So now that sort of belief, that becomes a belief system, because you're constantly thinking that, that is bound to become a belief system, which will become a part of the core of who you are, of who Bambi is, who Pallavi is, who Pritika is. And there's a lot of like conflict and a lot of, like, it's a really unstable place to be in. Even us, our relationships with each other, when we're supposed to be like, humanity, and we're supposed to fight for humanity, we're not doing the basic thing, which is to really care for each other. So we're not able to evolve together. And clearly, even when you talk about climate crisis, our relationship with the environment around us is violent. It's
Yeah.
highly unstable. So all of these things together, like it's bound to cause a downturn, a spiral in every sense. I mean, on a personal level, like in our minds, in society, in our family structures, in our communities, in our workspace, it's the same, like psychological spirals that are going around. So that's how I'm really seeing it unfold. And I think, like Kritika mentioned, that she feels like her discernment has gotten better this year, especially, and her awareness levels are higher. It's similar for me because I've also obviously been working with Kritika very closely on this no gray journey. So, and whatever she's going through does sort of have, like, it rubs off on me somewhere in some form. So it's been similar for me as well. And yeah, I'm just glad for that. And I don't want to stop being hopeful, which is why we're building this product, and we're building it with a lot of care. I think for me, that's the word that really comes out of this whole conversation, because that's how you can really build on reliability. It takes a while to also build on reliability, which is also like a beautiful journey in itself. So I think that's what I want to sort of share.
Amazing. Very, very beautifully summarized for all of us, Pambi. I think that's what this conversation has led us to. We've been able to deduct another really new core principle on the basis of which we will build No Gray with Pallavi's help. I think there has to be a lot of care in all our communication.
Yes.
Towards each other and towards the people that we wish to provide our product and services to. And in that sense, we will help build more reliability and trust in our world. And then hopefully, we will be an example for how businesses can be done differently, taking back, making the use of money really originally what it was, like a tool for like exchange of services that you can rely on and that you can trust in. And so great. I think this was a great chat and a great catch up for over our third episode. And we've been, missing out on the routine for these episodes because we've naturally been spiraling in between building the product and being, quite. I would say anxious with the other experiences that we are having and the kind of shades that we're seeing in humanity while we're on this journey of building this beautiful company called Nogre. And I'm really glad to have you both with me on this journey. You're such pillars of strength. You're such beautiful human beings. And I'm very grateful that we have two more gems joining us. I think this is going to be fun. And so yeah, so for all the people who are watching this now or in the future, do look out for us. We have launched our first product, Billet. Nogre is basically a legal service operating system for India. Um, it's very much possible that this will also translate into becoming a legal service operating system for the world, because we believe that law is the operating system of not just our democracy but the world. And we hope to bring out more and more meaningful products for our customers, legal products for our customers in the future. So do look out for us if you enjoyed the conversation and you resonate with who we are. Follow us, spread the word about us, come join us, build this company. It was nice to have you all with us here. Thank you. Thank you, Bambi. Thank you.
You, Deepika.
Thank